Hello, this is Micaiah Smoker. I'm the ACT head coach and ACT prep teacher at Powell High School. The objective of this video is to show you and help you have a better understanding of the ACT scoring, how they score each of the four tests, and the score reports from both the ACT and the A-list practice test that we took this fall in October. So the first thing that I'm going to start with is kind of an overview of the ACT. Just really quickly look at this and give you an overview. So here we go. The ACT test, it is approximately 2 hours 55 minutes. There's 5 sections. We usually refer to 4 sections because one is optional, the writing test. You'll have the English test, 45 minutes, math test, 60 minutes, 60 questions, 60 minutes. English test has 75 questions. Reading test and science test are both 35 minutes, 40 questions apiece. The composite score, which is the overall score that you get in each of the 4 tests, will give you a score between 1 and 36, 36 being the highest. Again, the sections, English, there's 5 passages with 15 questions. Test your ability to edit writing and to spot grammar and writing style and organization errors. Math, measure your ability to solve complicated math problems in algebra and geometry, and there's a few trigonometry questions. Reading, 4 passages, 10 questions each. That checks how well that you can interpret, comprehend written material, reading comprehension. Science, there's 6 to 7 passages. Doesn't determine whether or not you know science facts like biology or physical science, but rather it tests how well you can read scientific information and infographics and how well you can understand things like scientific method and be able to interpret data, charts, and infographics. The ACT scoring is as such. You will get a raw score for all 4 of the tests. And what the raw score is it is a score that you get out of the total number of questions. Like for instance, this English test here, there's 75 questions, and if you get, our goal is 21, so if you get 48 to 50 questions right, it's not, don't want to think of it as your traditional testing model because that's roughly about a 60-something%. Then you're going to make a 21, okay? So a 60% is a failing grade for a regular test in high school, but your raw score is the total number out of the total number right out of the total number of questions on the test, and that's translated to a scale score. Like use math for an example. If you got a 48 out of 49, 48 questions right, you'd have a 29 on the math section. The composite score is all 4 of the test, the main test, English, math, reading, and science. You total those up and divide by 4. It's the average of the 4 sections. That's your composite score, and that's the overall score that colleges look at mainly. And then you have a super score, which is if you take the test multiple times, they will take the best sub-scores. Regardless of test date, they will take the best scores that you have and use that into your composite score. Here's another look at this. Scale scores on the 1 through 36. That's the ACT score. Raw score is how many you get right out of the total number on the test. Now, let's look at the A-list report. And then here's kind of a random, this is the test that the students took in October. It's one that we offered. And then we had the data, we had it graded, and we had a data analysis from a company called A-List. So here you can see, and I'll kind of highlight some things. You've got this particular student made a 15 in scale score in English, 16 in math, 18 in reading, 17 in science, and then they added those up and gave them a composite of 17. So when we say ACT score, that was their overall ACT. You also get a STEM score, which is the math and science, average of the math and science. And then the ELA score would be an and we didn't get one on this particular test, but it would be an average of your English and reading. So it would be the language arts. And there are colleges that use these STEM scores, especially if you're going into things like some engineering or even medical. They will they want you to have a certain STEM score. They will look at that. All right, so within that, in this report, they give you a breakdown, kind of a data analysis of a breakdown of skills. Okay, so for instance, on English, you've got what they do is they test you on these techniques, which are really, we call these CRSs, or College Readiness Standards. And these college readiness standards, they tell colleges if you're ready for the rigor and the challenge of the college work. Are you going to be ready for that? So these are called college readiness standards, and they've broken it. A lot of companies break it down differently. A-List, they're going to have it into sections. So you got conventions of English, knowledge of language, production of writing. These are just overall sections. You can see how they did on these. And then you have subsections, which are breaking these sections down a little bit more: usage, sentence structure, punctuation, organization, topic development. This is how, if you look at ACT.org site, you're going to see that, or our SMOOP site, you will see if you're working through these skills, you're taking maybe a course on ACT, you will get it. It will be broken down into these 5 or 6 subsections, and then you can kind of see there. So this particular student does well on usage, grammar usage, like commas, using the right subject-verb agreement, understanding idioms. Punctuation is where the commas would be in. So here, that particular student really wouldn't need a big focus on usage, but more on topic development, organization of the passage, and this is kind of like the writing style. These are called rhetorical skills. And then you can even get a breakdown here of, okay, here we got verbs. That gives you the how many they got incorrect, and then gave you the numbers. All right, and these come from, if you want to look at these particular questions, it's from the ACT's practice guide that they give. Okay, so this comes from the practice guide that they give, and you can find it online. Just go to the free ACT practice test, and you can find these particular questions. You can see here that these are the ones that were missed, or the ones they got right. It will say which one they picked correctly. Then you go into math. You get subsections and techniques. So you can tell by the averages what they need to work on. Obviously, trigonometry is a big one, because that's usually the last thing that our particular students will get their sophomore year. And then you go reading. Look at the reading. There's 4 passage types in reading that we talked about. One of those is a double passage. So you can see this particular student struggled with the double passage. They give you 2 passages. You have to analyze things inside and then even compare the passages. So you can kind of see where they are on the 4 subject areas for the passage types. This is something you can use too if you're using the strategy to pick the particular subject that you like the most and do it first. And that way, when you start running out of time, you can use the one, we call it eat dessert first, and then eat the broccoli and the other stuff last, the stuff that you're not going to be good at probably anyway. So you may want to use that, because those are the ones you're going to have to rush through and guess at the very end. Science, it gave you the 6 passages. They're broken down into 3 different types. Here they are. Here are the 3 passage types, and then the techniques within those. All right, so this gives you kind of a good little breakdown on how they did, and then you can see what they need to work on. So, like for instance, this particular student in reading, I would make sure that they focused on craft and structure some way. They can go into the SMOOP program. They can do things online. They can ask their English teachers about that too as well. They can be a resource for that too. Now, looking at the ACT score report, it's quite a bit different, because they give them rankings and national rankings and kind of comparison nationwide. So let's look at this one. All right, so they give the composite, There's math, science, there's the STEM score, combination of those two, English, reading, writing, if you do that. Now, writing will not count as your overall score, but they will use it to determine your ELA. That's why our students didn't have an ELA score, because we didn't take the writing. So back here, they give you a ranking, like where you are in the percentile. You want to be obviously in the top 50 percentile. It's usually best. Sorry. All right. Then they give you detail, like here's the college readiness sub skills. So they give you the sub skills here too. And you can see the A-list gave us um, a lot better breakdown as far as what they need to focus on. Now, the ACT will supply this breakdown for you, like we had seen from the A list, but you do have to pay for, it's a little bit extra charge. I think it's like $15. There are times during the year you may want to check the site, but they will offer that free. I think it's 1 or 2 times they will offer that breakdown for you free. So that's basically it, the ACT score report. If you have any other questions about the ACT, you can contact me by email. My email is micaiah.smoker@knoxschools.org, or you can go to my Remind, and my Remind is at ACT Alert. You just put that in at ACT Alerts, and you will be able to get on the Remind. Again, this is Micaiah Smoker, the ACT head coach.